Hello everyone and welcome back to our weekly 6-scale recap series, where we'll be looking at teases, pre-order announcements, releases for the week, anything newsworthy in the 6-scale world that might not have merited its own video. And this week is actually pretty light, so should be a relatively quick one, but there were a few things worth discussing. But before starting and getting into things for this week, I have to go into my mandatory disclaimer, which honestly is probably going to be longer than the video itself. Just a quick joke, but listen, I'm not affiliated with any of these companies. I'm not affiliated with any resellers either, and I'm not using this as a sales post, which is why I don't post links for purchasing these. Purpose of these videos is just to discuss interesting news posted essentially on social media that impacts 6-scale figure collecting, and in particular things I find interesting or products I'm tempted to get for my own collection. And I do think once pictures go public for announcement, it's pretty much up for discussion. So with that out of the way, let's jump right into things. And we'll start with news updates and teases. And the big one for me this week was from Hot Toys. And they're teasing the first figure in their Ahsoka line, and it's Sabine Wren. So full disclosure, when this image dropped, I was still half asleep when I saw it, and I just put the phone down thinking it's just another Mandalorian. And then of course I woke up and looked again, and I saw the lightsaber and the Ahsoka title card, and it piqued my interest. Now, I have watched the first 2 episodes of the show, and I'm actually hooked and pretty intrigued. I think there's a good through line there. I did feel like the fights in the first episode were a little slow, although still good. I know people who have watched Rebels probably have more of a feeling for the backstory here. But for me, it's just a show, and so far the character of Sabine is just okay. I am starting to figure out how my Star Wars collection is going to proceed going forward, and it's definitely going to be focused more on Jedi and Sith, so she's immediately an appealing figure just on that basis alone. Don't want to spoil anything for anyone who has yet to watch the show, but I think with that new approach, I might be in a little bit of trouble. Now, next tease is actually based on a photo posted by Quint, so full credit to him, who I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with, and I'm actually pretty excited here. They're basically teasing a Quint from Jaws. Now, this is one of my all-time favorite movies. You can put it in the conversation with Raiders of the Lost Ark for me. I'm curious where this line is going to go or where this figure is going to go. I would love a Quint, but if you get him, I think we need a Hooper and a Brody. I mean, that trio made the movie, and honestly, you somehow have to incorporate the shark. I don't expect a 6-scale Great White. That would be ridiculous, but there has to be something, be it a diorama piece with a fin, just something. At least those are my thoughts, but right now it's just a tease of an unpainted head, so TBD what is actually coming our way with this one. Now, next piece of news is coming from Inart, and looks like the release of their second figure, Gandalf, is imminent. And with that, they're actually offering some product updates. They did disclose that apparently whatever mechanism they were trying to do with the eyes using magnets wasn't working out, and they had to revert back to the system they had in place with the Joker. And to at least make up for that change, they're adding some extras to the current release, including some firework accessories, some writing on the one ring, and some extra detailing on the staff. Honestly, I don't know that they needed to do that, but still a nice touch and effort on their part. Gandalf is looking pretty amazing too, so I'm looking forward to seeing those reviews start to drop. Again, not a line I'm looking to get into, but it'll be good for Inart to start rebuilding some momentum if they can, and this looks like it's turning out remarkably well. And now let's go to announcements, and this one kind of came out of nowhere, but I did want to discuss because I think 3-0 is a company to watch out for. So 2 weeks ago, 3-0 hit us with their updated Rick Grimes and their Rambo 2 figure, and both looked amazing and were actually on the affordable side for this hobby. I actually did order and fully pay for the Rambo 2 already, so now it's just a waiting game. For $200 each of those for licensed figures that have all these accessories and look pretty good, I think that's a good effort on their part. And it's something that's setting them apart a little bit is that price. And they're also kind of picking licenses that other companies aren't touching at the moment. And this is clear evidence of that. They're giving us, at least for the moment, one figure from the latest Dungeons & Dragons movie, Honor Among Thieves, starring Chris Pine. And it's Edgin Darvis. I don't even recall if that's how you pronounce his name. So look, not gonna lie, not the most exciting figure. He literally comes with 2 accessories, a knife, and I think it's a loot, and that's it. I did watch the movie, and I thought it was fun and entertaining, but it's not a movie that I necessarily feel the need to revisit, or definitely own a figure from. But again, it was a fun watch. Now, as a figure, I do have to say the clothes look pretty top-notch. I think the fit and cut and the material selection all look pretty decent, and the accessories, as limited as they are, also look good. Now, the sculpt. I actually think it's pretty good. I mean, is it perfect? No, I think there's some slight room for improvement, but honestly, it's a really, really close look, an approximation for Chris Pine. And I think for X06, I know they're working on a Chris Pine Captain Kirk figure. I'm hoping the sculpt turns out as good as this one, because if you do pick this up and it turns out like the prototype, I feel like you're going to be pretty happy. So again, not a figure I'm looking to pick up, but I think it was worth discussing in the context of 3-0, who just continues to surprise us and improve. I think coupled with the great work they're doing with Transformers, they're a company to watch, and also cost is pretty appealing. I think this one is going to be selling for about $175. For a figure that looks this good, that's not a bad price in today's market. I just honestly don't know what to expect from 3-0 at this point, but I'm looking forward to see what they keep going. Now, the next announcement is from a new player in the game, and it's a Dark Lord figure, which, wink wink, looks pretty much like Sauron from Lord of the Rings. First of all, it looks pretty impressive, and it's actually big, coming in at about 20 inches tall, which would have him towering over some of the other 6-scale figures and characters in your collection, as well he should. I think the armor is done well, with all the pitting and metal detailing that you would expect, and that abnormally elongated helmet. And I always like the look with all of the spikes on the shoulders and the very menacing gauntlets. Just based on scale, this thing is going to impress, at least tentatively, because with a new player in the 6-scale game, you really don't know how the final is going to turn out. So all of this is just conjecture based on the promo pics. And look, there's some good work here, and in particular, I think having the one ring on the armored hand, that really is a great detail. To me, it's interesting that there's this renewed interest in Lord of the Rings, and I do have to give credit, at least I think it's because of what Inart is doing. Because I think this interest is really stemming from the work they've been doing with the Gandalf and the Aragorn, which just looks stunning. So that's why I wanted to touch on this one quickly. For me, it's a pass. I just do not have the budget to jump into another IP. I like Lord of the Rings, but I just can't. Right now, I'm tied up in Marvel, I'm tied up with X06 and Trek, and then you have the one-offs and more minor lines like Gangster's Kingdom. And I'm starting to dabble back into Star Wars, so I'm very carefully monitoring my budget to allow me to do that. And look, this is also an expensive piece. I've seen pricing at $440. That's a big leap to take with an unknown, and when it comes to third party, that's a huge leap of faith. That money for me, I could apply to any of the other IPs and still be okay. But real interest growing in the Lord of the Rings, and I think if Inart delivers, you're going to see that license blow up in the 6-scale community. And then moving on to releases, at the time I was recording this, the only drop was from Hot Toys, where we got a pick of the boxes for the new Robocop 3 figure outside of Secret Base. So those are dropping imminently, and I would expect to see some blogger picks come our way soon. I passed on this one as well. I hate to sound like a downer, but as nice as it looks, budget again, just tied up in other things. But that's the great thing about this community, right? I still get excited at seeing some of these pieces show up on other people's channel, and this one's no different. I'll definitely be excited to watch some reviews and see how it turned out. So that was it for this week. Again, very light news-wise and announcement-wise, and honestly, my wallet can appreciate a week with no new pre-orders. I've committed to a bunch, and there's still a number I'm keeping an eye on, so it's good to have these breaks. So that was a quick recap for 6-scale news. Let me know your thoughts, or if I missed anything, and as always, thanks for watching, and if you are enjoying the content, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing, and we'll touch base on the next one.